This episode is brought to you by Muntins Malts, a company that is passionate about providing premium malts to brewers worldwide. For over a century, Muntins has been a leading supplier of brewing and distilling malts, offering the finest British malted barley on the market. You can experience the difference Muntins offers by joining a recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club, because every kit that ships out now includes premium Muntins malt. You know, we've known the Muntins crew for a long time, and I can tell you, friend, you're going to love brewing with their grains. Ask your local supply shop to carry Muntins malts, or homebrewers can join our Trub Club at homebrewhappyhour.com/club, be a part of the community, and come brew with us. Thank you, Muntins, for supporting our efforts and homebrewers worldwide. Today's show is brought to you by Hopsdirect.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Pewterball family farm, Hopsdirect.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is Hopsdirect.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to Hopsdirect.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's Hopsdirect.com. Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
Dealing with Scorched Wort, shelf life of a SCOBY, and tips for counter-pressure bottling sours. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 445. Well, hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. And if you, my friends, have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you could go to homebrewhappyhour.com, use that submit a question link at the top of the page. Even better, why don't you call it in to 325-305-6107. Leave a voicemail after the beep. When I use that on a future episode, get yourself a gift card to kegconnection.com. It does not get much better than that, except it does. I'm one of your hosts, Joshua Stubing. Today, I am joined... You know what? Lorena, I didn't actually write an intro for you. I never do. I need to come up with one because, like, you're the queen bee at Brewer's Friend. You're an OG at homebrewtalk.com. You're not quite old enough to be my mom, maybe a cool aunt, but you're mean enough to be a sister. It's Lorena Evans. I've got her. Yeah?
I haven't even pulled your hair anymore. I don't know what you're talking
There's nothing
about.
left. There's nothing
Well,
left.
that's why.
What was my daughter say? What she watched a clip that I did on Instagram over my shoulder, and she was like, "Dad, you don't look younger wearing a backwards hat."
Well, she's not wrong.
Yeah, I know. My 15-year-old, I was like, "Honey, I've been wearing a hat since I can remember." And she goes, "Yeah, but Dad, you're almost 40." I was like, listen here. Here, I guess what I'm getting at, if I could just vent to you for an hour instead of talking about stuff for Homebrew Happy Hour, teenage girls are the worst. They're the absolute,
Yeah.
what a terrible demographic.
That is awful. And you know what? We talk about this even now to this day. My daughter's 35. We are finally glad we didn't kill her as a teenager, because we came close. We did. But she has wonderful children. She has boys. And she did not get what she deserves because she has boys. A 15-year-old boy, he's a piece of cake.
Yeah.
Her at 15, I could have killed her if I didn't mind going to jail for the rest of my life.
That's my mom tells me I got what I deserved, and I never understood it until my older two became teenagers, and I was like, oh, mom, that hurts.
Ouch.
Yeah, what a different breed, and I love them to death, but like, but they're anyway. Anyway, I do appreciate your time and coming on. He hates being name dropped, so I'm not going to say his name. I had reached out to the man behind the curtains of Brewer's Friend, Homebrew Talk, and I think he's on one of his hiatuses where he doesn't use his phone. I don't know if you've heard about that thing he does where like he gets a burner phone and he gets rid of his smartphone, and he's like, he's not off grid, but he kind of is. Because I was trying to get some updated info, because I was like, hey man, I'd love to like run an ad, because he lets you, and I say lets you, you're an adult, you do whatever you want, but your time is so valuable, and I appreciate it so much. I was like, oh, I could run an ad for you for Brewer's Friend, or I could run one for Homebrew Talk or whatever. And that was like 2 weeks ago. And then I messaged him again, and I was like, hey man, everything okay? And blanked. And I was like, oh yeah, he does this every now. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do think he's still alive because I haven't heard otherwise. But
just gone.
I haven't heard a peep. I haven't seen him on Facebook.
Yeah.
Not that he was ever a lot.
Never.
Yeah. So he is the Wizard of Oz. He's behind the curtain.
He is, for real. I know.
And there is another person now that we can talk to that is actually accessible.
Perfect. We'll do that after the show. But I meant to bring that up before recording. I was like, oh yeah, I got to tell her, can't get a hold of so-and-so. And like I said, he likes his privacy, and I respect that. Todd and I are on the opposite ends of that spectrum, where Todd gives out his cell phone number on this show frequently. And I'm like, you're lucky that I lie about our audience and it's only 5 people who watch, because if it was real, you would have a lot more uncomfortable text messages sent to you.
Well, at least he gets a great opportunity to renew his car warranty.
That's right. Yeah. That, and you know how many Nigerian princes have reached out to him with a great opportunity to, and anyway. But I did want to ask you, because before we get into the questions, because you are my guest host today, and I want to thank you, because you also said you'd be my guest host in the future whenever. And I didn't know if that was like you being sarcastic, but I'm holding you to it. You said it once. You have to. But words matter. But
sarcasm doesn't work on you, Josh.
It doesn't work on me.
You don't get it.
I don't. There's a Venn diagram of legit autistic and just stupid, and I'm in the middle. But last time I realized when I had you on as the guest host, I didn't even bring up anything about, like, you know, I get your emails that are automated. Obviously, you're not writing me from Brewer's Friend, but
yes, I am.
You liar. But I got the message, I guess my membership's about to expire, and I was like, oh, I'm going to suck up to Lorena and see if I can get that taken care of. But
I know people. I know people. We'll get you covered.
I was laughing so hard when my inbox had an email from you, and I was like, oh my gosh, she is my friend. And then it was some automated thing from a newsletter. I was so heartbroken. I was like, I thought you had me. Oh. So Brewer's Friend, we hardly talked about last time. And I brought it up on a show, it may have been last week with Todd and James. Remind me, the Android app has been revamped as well. I don't remember how long ago, but it was relaunched as well, correct? Because I think I misspoke.
No, they both are active. We are right in the middle now of a really great update with the brew sessions. We had an issue with both apps where they would sync to the site version. So it was pretty seamless. But when you would delete a brew session, for example, it still ghosted in the app, but not on the site. So we are going to, as soon as that is approved by both app stores, there's an approval period, those new ones will be updated. So if someone does have that app, they'll see that and they can update it. But yes, there is an Android and there is an iOS app, and they're both really attractive and easy to use. So I'm really, really happy with those.
I need to remind Todd and James that, because I think both of those guys are so, and I was going to say old school. That's not even the right way. They just love the web version so much that they just use that on brew day, like the laptop
Me
right
too.
next. You too. Yeah. See, yeah. Like,
I have my iPad on brew day, and I will still use the site version.
oh, that's funny. Yeah, you just have the
But
browser open.
yeah, well, yeah, because I think it's I don't want to say older because I'm really only 25. I just have a lot of gray hair.
Yeah.
But I think it's what you're comfortable with. And, I mean, I started on Beersmith 1.00 or something, the
Yeah.
desktop that looked like old Windows
Yep.
stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I was comfortable with that because that's all I knew. So for us, desktop is kind of where it's at. The nice thing is with the app, though, they have a really much better interface. So if you are used to apps and the ease of using the apps, you'll really like the interface better. It's much more intuitive. So you can remind James and Todd and then let them do what they're going to do.
Yeah, they're the old dog's new tricks. That's something. And then obviously Homebrew Talk. Last time I was able to talk with the person who shall not be named. It's not Voldemort, but it's somebody else. He who shall not be named because whatever. He was telling me about the growth Brewers Friend and Homebrew Talk we're having. This was like around the turn of the year, so maybe January, February is last time I talked to him. How is it going over at Homebrew Talk? Because I know. It has like our hobby has waves of popularity, but Homebrew Talk has been there for as long as I've been brewing, which was 2008. 2008 is when I technically started, and it's been around ever since then. So, I mean, has membership just been kind of steady and same old, same old?
Like you said, waves. And I think a lot of it too, the COVID years. First of all, it was kind of a little drop off. And then when we're all staying home, everything at home went up. Our kayaking forum, I'm a member of a kayaking forum on Facebook, everything. And so all of a sudden, woo, everybody's getting bigger, bigger, bigger. And then we all went, oh, we're going back to work. Bam, 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 but it is waves. The thing too is a lot of people might start homebrewing because they think it's cheaper. Well, anybody that listens to your podcast knows not so much because there's always more, better. If you want cheap beer, homebrewing is really probably not the avenue to get the big discounts, but you get great craft beer. And now, we're all, as homebrewers, we're also doing seltzers, more ciders, hop water. So there, a lot of Homebrew Talk now is going in that direction too. We have the people that will just brew seltzers.
Right. Yeah, it is. Like I said, I am on it, like checking. Well, before we sold ketconnection.com, I was on it frequently, just seeing if people were talking about us or a way to share the deals we had and this or that. Ever since Todd kind of ripped me away from the retail stuff, I'm fine. Well, it's hard to find meaning in life, and sorry, that went dark. No, it's but I'm just not on Homebrew Talk as much. I'm just not. I'm on Brewer's Friend all the time, but I'm not on Homebrew Talk. So I remembered when I had you on last time, I was like, I didn't even bring him up. How rude am I? I was just like, oh, and my friend Lorena, as if people knew. But we have, as the hobby, I'm not going to say it's stagnant. It's arguably it's a steady decline as far as just straight up homebrewing beers going. But we get frequently reached out by brand new people or people who've been brewing for like a couple months or maybe half a year, and they unfortunately stumbled upon our content, and so they'll reach out, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I still tell them like Homebrew Talk, even if there was no new post, which there are, but even if there wasn't, it is a database of such good information that spans 15 years. I don't know how. Yeah, more than that. That's what I mean. It's wild how, as long as that website is up, that is a database resource that should be there forever. So even if it's not some fresh discussion, you go in the search bar at Homebrew Talk and you look up pressure fermenting, whatever, you're going to find a conversation on it with people's input. And that's what I'd always appreciated about it. And also, I'm just digging at Reddit. Reddit has a love-hate relationship with me. So you know what? I have a hate-hate relationship with you, Reddit. But yeah, I'm petty. I'm whatever number former NASCAR driver Richard Petty was. That's me. I am petty. I'll boycott too. I'm not boycotting Reddit. I'm addicted to the internet, but I'll boycott. I'll do it.
I have that was the sort of relevant small talk. The other small talk I have before we get into questions and whatnot, my friends, our recipe kit has not been announced yet because I have to go up to headquarters later this week to check to make sure that I can even ship out the kit I want to do. Todd told me don't announce the kit yet because you get people's hopes up, but I just want to talk about it. I want to do the breakfast stout for members of our Patreon Chub Club. Now, they would have to provide their own chocolate and coffee because I can't source that easily, and I'm worried about shipping chocolate with the heat and whatever. Like I'm gonna have to ice pack everything if I do the true kit, but the all the malts and that we can provide. And I think my idea for brewing it now in September was we don't send the kits out to the end of the month anyway, and so they're going to be brewing it in October. If you brew it anytime in October, it will or should be ready by Thanksgiving, and it'll certainly be ready by Christmas, New Year. What a good style to have to wrap up a year. I know. So that's my plan, guys. I'm planning on it. Don't hold me to it. Nobody at the warehouse had time to go up there and check for me. So I'm going to go up there. We have some vendors coming into town. I have to go visit and entertain. Todd, I'm the dancing monkey. When vendors come into town, Todd's like, hey, come into town and juggle, dance monkey. So I'm going to go there first to the office, check our recipes or check our ingredients and make sure I can even fulfill this because we have on average like 38 to 45 kits that go out a month. And I'd hate to not have enough of any given grain to then either have to substitute the final ones or whatever. So I got to just get my ducks in a row. But if we don't end up doing that one, guys, I don't have a backup. So I'm open to suggestions for recipe kits. If you're watching at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour, you could leave it in the comments below because that helps the algorithm. And while you're there, I don't know if you know, Lorena, I'm a very popular YouTuber. So I say things like, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. I'm not actually a popular YouTuber, but we still need people to like and subscribe. So,
well, my biggest fear is somebody's going to suggest Kolsch. So, as long as nobody suggests the Kolsch, I'm good.
I'm gonna make a bunch of fake accounts and just go on y'all should do a Kolsch. A Kolsch would be great. And then
nothing like Kolsch in December.
I don't
celebrate holidays.
And also too, I didn't notice your face. I didn't look over if I even had it up on the screen when I said Trub Club because I know how that makes you feel. You should never have told me.
I know. And if you want to have your Trub Club, it's okay. It's okay, Josh.
You know what? For 2026, I should make shirts like where the front does say Trub Club, like CLOOB, and on the back make a whole special thing for members.
No, just use the umlaut. Isn't that an umlaut? Trub.
Oh, good point. I could do that, and that's very German of us. We are, yeah.
German.
Sort of. I'm German enough. Yeah. Lately, I just claim the Latino part because it's funnier. But the German part, one day the pendulum will swing, and when I had to
I don't see Germans ever being funny. I'm sorry.
They're not. They're very pedantic. They're not funny. Not known for their humor. But
they're very orderly.
Very orderly. Yeah. Very orderly. Yeah. I don't know if you were at Homebrew Con San Diego, the last one. Were you at the very last in-person Homebrew Con?
No, I think the last time I did San Diego was 2015, maybe.
Well, Todd, we gave a presentation. It went as good as you can expect a presentation from us to go. But Todd kept hitting the desk at I don't know if he was getting nervous, but he was like hitting the desk like that. And I was like, brother, you are like a 1930s German right now. He's like, and the look on the moderator's face, he was appalled. He was like, I wish I'd brought my own camera to zoom in on him because he was like, who else? I had to give some imagery. I can't just say you're like a European dictator from the mid-30s. I had to give some imagery. But anyways, I will digress way too much. The last little part, guys. So again, be on the lookout at patreon.com/homebrew happy hour for that announcement. I should know by next week because I'm going up this week. But Brew Day Live we'll announce that next week after we know the recipe and after I talk to my pop. My pop and I do that every month, Lorena, over at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. We just brewed the Fat Tire clone. which was the original Fat Tire. I don't know if you've had it since they've redone it. It's not a bad beer. It's just, I don't know why they didn't just make a different beer and call it something else instead of changing the entire recipe. Why do they do that? Why? It's so frustrating. They take
why did they make new Coke?
Why? That's what my dad said when he heard about it. He was like,
"Oh my God,
yeah,
I'm the same age as your dad."
Yeah, you might. I told you. I mean, no, 25. You're much younger. You're much younger. Much younger, Lorena. So that is, guys, that's all the small talk that I have. So with that being said, I have the gong of questions that you may or may not hear. Did you hear it this time? It's for real. Ah! I told you this new video system is just like the best. It works out. We have 3 great questions for y'all. This first one was an email from our buddy Alex. He wrote, "Hey, Homebrew Happy Hour crew, I've got a question I hope you can help me with. On my last brew day, I think I might have scorched the wort a little bit. I was doing a full volume boil on my propane burner, and when I was transferring to the fermenter, I noticed a faint burnt smell and just a touch of darker color than I expected. The flavor isn't awful, but there's definitely a slight toasted or even burnt taste if I really pay attention. So my question is there anything I can do after the fact to help minimize or mask that scorched flavor? Will fermentation or aging mellow it out at all, or am I basically stuck with what I've got? And for future batches, what are the best practices to avoid scorching in the first place? Like equipment tweaking, stirring, or maybe even adjusting my boil intensity? I'd hate to waste a whole batch, but I also want to learn from my mistake so it doesn't happen again." I liked how he closes it out because I just abandoned ship. I never try to just learn. I just, nope, did it wrong. I'm going to try it again the same exact way. But Alex, you're lucky because I brought in the real pro of answering questions. And Lorena, actually, you admitted to me I gave you the questions and you researched it. That is such a breath of fresh air on this show.
Well, I would say research is a big stretch. I looked up to make sure I have my terminology more right. Maillard reactions versus caramelization. Okay. And so I did, just to make sure I was on the right page. First of all, when I read what Alex wrote, I thought, how in the world did you excessively boil a full volume boil? It's one thing if you're using extract and it's very condensed. And I've made candy in the past where the idea is to really get excessive caramelization to make toffee or something. So that must have been one heck of a boil. And I couldn't figure out. I have had electric brewing, and so it's pretty easy to get some stuck sugars on your elements and things. So I'm thinking that must have been one heck of a boil. So the first piece of advice is not to fix this batch right now, but for next time, you don't have to boil the heck out of the wort. Okay, you want it to turn over. So it sounds like even stirring, if you're boiling that hard, it should be, the wort stirs itself pretty well. So that's the first thing, is to boil enough that you get some evaporation and the wort turning over, but not so much that you burn it, caramelize it. And one of the things we look for, of course, when we boil is that those Maillard reactions, the things that darken and condense the sugars a little bit, of course. So that's a good thing, and you do want that to happen. And those are where you're going to get your toasty, maybe nutty, some sweet flavors. I can't say what happened here, but I have to assume it's kind of a high OG wort, maybe a lot of grain in that one, and then it boiled down. I'd be curious to know what his boil off was. It sounds like it might have been a lot. So yeah, adjust the boil, stir, but remember the boiling does stir, and hope for the best for next time. This time, I'd like to say I think some of that flavor could age out, but I don't really think it will. One thing Alex said was, though, I can taste it only if I'm really paying attention. So maybe he's very sensitive to it, and maybe nobody else will pick that up. And so maybe it'll still turn out to be a really, really great beer. But that one had me. I don't often hear of people that get Scorched Wort from a propane burner boil. Apparently it does happen.
Well, and that's one of that also piqued my interest because I agree with you. And I was trying to think, and you correct me if I'm wrong. You wouldn't be the first person. Even today, you would be the first person to correct me. It's already like it's almost noon. I've been corrected 20 times today by my boss, by my wife. Okay, anyways, I'm digressing again. Normally Scorched Wort is like with an element immersed into it, right? Like that's like 9 out of 10 times that I've ever, pardon me, before this question, 10 out of 10 times I would have said that's how it's always been reported to me when someone's like, oh, Scorched the Wort. We did a brew day a long time ago. Our buddy Kenny came to the ranch. He was the brewer of Seville. His channels, he quit the game. I heard he might be coming back, but he quit the game for now. And we brewed on that Spiked Solo. They gave us a prototype, and the wort, it goes in, the element is immersed in the wort. It's not like my Grainfather where it's not, right? Like we're not, there's some separation. But we scorched the wort, and sure enough, I forgot what we were even trying to brew, but it turned out like a burnt Scottish ale. Like it was yeah, like a wee bit heavy and a lot bit scorched, and and unintentionally. And so we obviously had to dump it, but I'm not even quite sure what we did wrong. If it was from the stuck mash at first, I mean, we had it was a terrible brew day. The prototype wasn't that great anyways, but my point being, I can't fathom what you could do in the boil on a propane burner in the future. Is it possible he's conflating toastiness with his whatever grains might be in his bill, or no?
Initially I thought maybe, but then as I was reading, it sounds just, and it could be maybe some very thicker wort at the very bottom that kind of burnt on the bottom a little bit. I'd be curious to know what his kettle looked like. But when you have that propane burner on and it's firing pretty hot, obviously there's gradient temperature differences in there. So that's what I'm assuming, but there's a lot of assumptions here. We don't have Alex to talk to. But yeah, it's not common to hear this at all, but apparently it's possible.
Right. Well, and that's why, and I'm glad you had even said that, and I could elaborate a little, because a lot of people who listen go through this sort of like similar experience where maybe they start on the stovetop and they're doing extract, and then maybe they go to partial mash. And like propane burner is such an integral part of most people's home brewing experience, even if they end up at electric brewing, to where I want to reassure people that if Alex is giving us all the details, his experience, in my opinion, is extremely rare. Don't worry about like, oh my gosh, I'm going to scorch the wort on my turkey burner or whatever, outside my banjo burner is going to do me wrong. Like, probably it won't. I wonder if Alex, is one detail that's missing. Would doing a longer boil affect? I mean, it would give you more opportunity to scorch it. Like if he, for whatever reason, did a 90 instead of a 60, could that have been a factor? I'm trying to think outside of the box.
Yeah. No, and like I said, I've made candy, and that's my frame of reference with this. Basically, when you caramelize sugar, when you're making toffee, it gets way hotter than boiling. Now, typically, wort does not get much above whatever your boiling temperature is where you live, right? So here, I think it's 210. And you can't really boil it more than 210. You can boil it harder, but you can't boil it hotter unless you have a ton of sugar, and that because sugar will boil. So I have to also assume maybe it was a very high OG wort.
Yep.
To have that much sugar to actually taste burnt.
I agree.
Now it's possible that, he used a lot of roasted grains and made a breakfast stout. And maybe what he's tasting isn't so much burnt, scorched, maybe just the roastiness burnt. Kind of like maybe you ever burn your coffee on the stove?
All the time.
Maybe that's kind of what he's picking up.
Yeah.
But if it truly was the whole batch kind of tastes kind of scorched, yeah, I'm thinking that he probably had the banjo burner up very, very high.
How funny, yeah, if we end up doing the breakfast stout, and then I get reports of people like, you lied, I was on my propane burner and I scorched it, because that is a very high gravity beer. It is. There's a
Oh.
lot of sugar. There's a lot of conversion, a lot of sugar. And which is why your first assumption was Alex had to be probably doing a pretty high gravity beer, because a Kolsch ain't gonna storch. He ain't storching my Kolsch.
No, it might get a little darker.
Yeah, you're right.
Because of the Maillard reactions, but certainly not like burnt sugar. So
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought that was really interesting. I'd be curious if Alex would write back and give us the rest of the story.
The rest of the story. Alex, you heard her. We want to hear back from you, but I want to hear from a voicemail. You could email like Alex did, but if you call it in to 325-305-6107, leave a voicemail, even for Alex if it's feedback, and I play it on a future episode. Get yourself a gift card to kegconnection.com. Moving on. The Gondo Questions works again. Question number 2 is another email from our buddy Martin. He said, "Hey guys, I know you usually talk beer, but I've recently gotten into brewing kombucha, and I've got a question that I think fits right in with the show. I've been keeping a SCOBY hotel going for a few months now, and it seems to be going fine, but I started wondering, how long can a SCOBY hotel actually last? Is there an average shelf life for a SCOBY before it loses its strength, or can you keep it going indefinitely as long as you maintain it? Also, if I've got multiple SCOBYs stacked in the jar, do I need to rotate them or replace them at some point, or will they just keep regenerating and doing their thing? I don't want to accidentally let the hotel go too long and end up with weak or funky SCOBYs that make me bad batches." Funky SCOBY, calling dibs on that for my new ska band.
I was going to say, I was just thinking that.
Yeah. Funky SCOBY. We should start a homebrewing band.
It's kind of like your Troop Clue. your funky SCOBYs are probably going to be Scoobies. So you may not even want to go there.
Funky Scoobies. Yeah, man. Ruh-roh. He's a man.
My dog bark.
Your dog's like, shut that guy up. Hang up.
Like,
yeah. What's that, Scooby?
I had a lot of questions in that one email, didn't he?
And I want to tell you real quick. Hold on. I want to tell you though, this email has been sitting in the inbox. So we get way more emails than we get phone calls, rather, voicemails, and even text messages. And so I did a keyword search. I was like, you know what? Lorena and I haven't talked about kombucha in a while. We did a whole episode on kombucha at one point, and we've actually done a few stuff with kombucha. So people I'll put all those links in the show notes, but this has been in my inbox for over a year. So poor Martin's been just waiting, and it's my fault, Martin, but she's here now. When I have kombucha questions, this is who I go to. He did have a lot. I apologize for bringing them all to you, but I wanted to...
that's fine. I just thought, wow. The thing is, poor Martin, while he was waiting for an answer, his SCOBYs died. All because of you.
They're dead. They're all gone. And
how long can you keep them, Martin? Well, not a year, that's for sure.
And one star reviewed the podcast because I didn't reply. Yeah, dead SCOBYs.
I'm teasing.
Yeah.
I'm teasing. Luckily, kombucha is a pretty forgiving fermentation. And I have found only one way to kill a SCOBY, and that is if you let them dry out. They need to be kept in their liquid with the cellulose mat. So first of all, if you're not really familiar with kombucha, SCOBY sets, the initials are, I forgot.
Oh, I got you. SCOBY.
Yeah.
Yeah, SCOBY. I can spell.
Symbiotic
Yes.
culture of bacteria and yeast, which means all of those bacteria and yeast are in the same culture working together. Okay. So in order for you to have a balanced SCOBY, you really kind of need to keep the conditions right for the growth of that yeast and bacteria. So the whole idea behind a SCOBY hotel, if you're not familiar with that, is every time you brew a batch, what happens is, no matter what size batch you have, you can start small or big, but what will happen is you add the SCOBY. Now, first of all, the SCOBY itself is the bacteria and yeast, those colonies. The actual thing that we call a SCOBY is that cellulose mat on top. It's truly not a SCOBY. It's more like a pellicle. Okay, but that's kind of where things hang out. So every time you make a batch, a new baby SCOBY, a new cellulose mat will form underneath. So if you brew a lot of batches, at some point you have a lot of those SCOBYs, and you save them at what we call a SCOBY hotel, which is actually just basically a batch of kombucha. You feed it the same way. You mix up your tea and your sugar and your water, and you do that. Okay, so what's happening then in this SCOBY hotel is it's just resting in there. It runs out of fermentables, just like when you brew a batch of beer, the yeast is done. The yeast is done. There's nothing left for it to eat. It can stay that way for a while, but in order to really kind of keep that yeast alive, you're going to want to move it off of the beer. Well, same with this kombucha SCOBY, so to speak. You're going to kind of do what you do for sourdough bread. You're going to want to feed it occasionally. You could go maybe a month, maybe longer, leave them hang out there. But at some point, you're going to want to draw off about 70% of the liquid and remake your culture water, your culture tea. Okay. So by answering all of that, I think I would say you can leave things pretty safely in the SCOBY hotel for 4 to 6 weeks, about a month, if you're not actively using it. But if you leave it way too long, your culture will shift because, again, there's no food for this to eat. So you're going to get more acidic and maybe some of the yeast will die off. So feed it every 4 or 6 weeks or so. Try to use it and you'll have starter tea forever and SCOBYs forever.
I love it. You did cover it. What I always mess up with the SCOBY hotel, and you think I'd learn because I've been doing kombucha for a while now, is the maintenance part. It's a living thing, and if you just think it's going to hang out on the shelf without more nutrients, more tea going into it, yeah, I've unfortunately been a mass murderer many a times over kombucha. Specifically kombucha, guys. Specifically kombucha and insects.
I've killed other things.
Yeah. Oh,
I've killed my sourdough starters.
Yeah.
Because I do sourdough bread too.
Yeah.
Yeah, same fermentation. So if you actually think about what an organism needs to live, doesn't need a whole lot.
Right.
It needs food.
Yeah.
Food.
Like me.
Yeah, and good care. The one thing too that is not beneficial is if you think it's going to be a long time before you use your SCOBY and things, putting it in the fridge is not a great idea because that really slows things down. And again, it changes the shift of the bacteria. So try to keep it in the ideally 70s, but somewhere between 65 and 85 if possible. Keep it fed and it should be okay for a very, very long time.
And I also like you're the nicest person, or your description is the nicest. A lot of snobs. I had on Reddit for sure. I haven't actually been in the kombucha forum on Homebrew Talk, but a lot of OGs who have been doing it for a while, or they're just gatekeepers for whatever reason. You say SCOBY when you're talking about the pellicle, and they are like, "That's not the SCOBY. The SCOBY's in the liquid, and the liquid is what is all the things you need. You don't need these." It's like, guys, there's nicer ways. You said it so nicely. I was like, oh, I'm going to use that as a clip because most people who try to explain it to new brewers for kombucha are so off-putting. They're like, they're like, it's like a gotcha. Like, oh, are you talking about the pellicle? Oh, or, yeah.
The cellulose mat on the very top.
Yeah.
But see, and what happens is though, by us calling it a SCOBY, new kombucha brewers are going to think the magic is in that.
You're right.
No, the magic is in the liquid.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but yeah, throw the SCOBY in, and if you look, the SCOBY being the cellulose mat in this case, and the liquid. But if you look, you'll see sometimes, again, bacteria and yeast are microscopic, but you can see strands of goobers. That's the technical term, by the way. The bacteria and yeast, you can see that, and it kind of does form that cellulose mat.
Right.
But the point of the cellulose mat, of course, is to protect the top. Just like krausen on your fermenting beer or your cap on your wine, that SCOBY cellulose mat forms and it protects it from mold and oxygen.
Now, in your opinion, because a lot of people will source their starter from like Amazon and it always comes with liquid and a cellulose mat, is that just for show and perception of value, or is that a necessary thing in the shipment? Because what could it be protecting it from in the shipment? Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's leading to the confusion.
Yes. And I think I can't answer that exactly, just what I assume. I assume it's because even though it's just a cellulose mat, there is going to be some bacteria yeast hanging out in there too. And maybe
Right.
it's going to help cover. You put it in your jar and then it's kind of a cover
Yeah.
over the liquid.
Yeah.
So, but yes, the starter tea itself is the key,
Yeah.
not the cellulose mat.
And then wrapping that up, because I have you here, and I would be remiss if I didn't, because someone will ask, is true or false, someone can get your average commercial can or bottle from the store and use that as a starter for their 1 gallon batch?
True.
That's what I thought, but somebody told me, no, because they think that they filter and then again. And I was like, well, do they pasteurize kombucha? Who would do that?
Well, it's possible. I mean,
Okay.
I've not actually researched like GT's was at the big one a number of years ago. But I do think if you get a non-pasteurized live, just like when you buy yogurt, okay, you can get the live cultures and you can make your own yogurt. Well, if you get something that's pasteurized, you can wait all day and all you're going to get is sour milk.
That's right.
So yes, it's possible if you have a quality kombucha that you purchase. However, it takes a lot more effort because you're talking about, I don't know, a tablespoon
Right.
that you're going to want to grow to a cup and a half so that you can ferment a gallon.
Yeah.
So you would really have to be careful with your contaminations, where you're putting things, the feeding incrementally and things. But yes, if you're a dedicated person that has no other way to get a SCOBY, yeah, sure.
And then this
probably works.
And this reminds me again, as we're wrapping it up, Martin, thank you for the question, but we've got to have in the future, we're going to do an episode of fermentations that have nothing to do with beer, because I get so many questions like kimchi. I get people sauerkraut, all this stuff that you do there, and that I would love to. I mean, people fermenting their salsa is a thing, like
hot pepper sauce. Oh my goodness!
And
I would love to do that.
Remind me, did you write the book, or were you the technical editor on a fermentation book?
I was the tech editor. I was approached to write the book.
That's what it was.
Years ago.
That's what it was.
And I did the outline. I was all excited. I went home. Brewers Publications asked. I went home, did the outline, and then I realized I don't want to write a book. I'm way too social to write a book. So several years later, the same publisher said, "Hey, Gabe Toth wrote this book, and would you be willing to be a tech editor?" And I jumped on that. And the book is great, by the way. It's called Fermentation Kitchen.
I have it, but it's on my shelf. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, it's very good. He covered just about everything you can think of that is fermentable. There's probably a few more things I would be happy to add. I don't know if you remember one of the talks I did at HomebrewCon, or several of them. If it doesn't move, ferment it.
Yes, that was I thought the name of it was something like "We Can Ferment It." Was that what it was? If it doesn't move, ferment it. Yeah.
If it doesn't move, ferment it. Ferment this.
Yes, ferment this.
Ferment this. So, in fact, my kegerator's behind me, and as you were talking, I was thinking, in that kegerator right now, I have sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha, beer, and cheese.
All homemade, all home brewed.
All directly behind me.
I love it.
I
love it. Yeah, we're gonna have to do that on a future episode. I'll solicit questions from people here. I promise, Martin, we've wrapped up your question, and I'm getting to the third question. No, it's my fault. But you're talking about you don't want to write a book. I wrote a book, and it's called How to Make a Buck, and I published it on Amazon. I'm going to publish it, where it's one page, and it's write a book, sell it for $1 on Amazon. That's my millions will be sold. Watch. How to Make a Buck by Joshua Stubing. And then one of my many memoirs. I have a ton working for Todd Burns for almost 18 years. I have a lot of content I could write about those years. I think it's the only reason he keeps me around. I have so much dirt on the guy. Like, Lord knows I'm not doing anything today. I'm just twiddling thumbs.
No.
But
I think it's the entertainment factor.
Yeah.
Because you think we're laughing with you. We're not.
I don't understand. Duh. Rude. Anyways, Martin's.
That's my point.
Right. A reminder to people, if you email or text us like Martin did and like Alex did, that's great and all, but why don't you call it in to 325-305-6107. Lorena, do I sound desperate? Yes, I do.
Yes.
I brought all these voicemails. I think last time you were on, I had voicemails. And but I'm getting thin on voicemails that are covering content we haven't done yet. Or some people think they're smart and clever and they leave voicemails that are like joking a little too harshly at my expense, where it's like, hey guys, I'm self-deprecating, but we're not friends. Even Todd doesn't cross that line, pal. Like, and it takes a lot for me to be like, ooh, that crossed the line. Like, I normally don't see lines. But that definitely
Venn diagram, remember?
I know, and I know where I am. Did I ever tell you when I first worked for Todd? This was 2008, May of 2008, and he showed me a line. He drew a line, and he goes, on this side, the far left, that's Neanderthal. On the far right is Einstein. Our customers exist in the middle. You exist way down here. And I was like, I understand. I get. Me get. Me work hard for you. Now me clean keg. Yeah. But anyways, Martin, thank you for sending that. The gong of questions means we're on to our third, final question. You would think it would be an email. You would think it'd be a voicemail, but it's not. It's a text message. Our buddy Sam texted me and he said, hey, Josh, I have a quick question about using the same equipment for sours and non-sours. You guys have talked about this, but one component I don't think you've ever talked about is a counterpressure bottle filler. I just bought one. I do want to bottle every now and then, and I do brew sours from time to time too. Do I need a dedicated bottle filler for my sours? Any tips for using the same bottle filler on every style I decide to brew and bottle? Real quick, for people who are brand new listening, a counterpressure bottle filler allows you to bottle from a keg, so that way you can, in my opinion, bottle conditioning beer is a whole different beast. And if I always give one suggestion to brand new brewers, start kegging from day one. You'll appreciate it. And it's not just because I'm still affiliated with kegconnection.com. Use promo code Josh and get nothing off. But it's not just that. It's also because it's so much more convenient. It's so much easier to keg, bottle conditionings, whatever. But holidays coming up, whatever, or birthday or a baby shower, and you want to take your beer not in a growler, you want to share it with people, bottling then comes to mind. So we have things like the Blickman beer gun, we have counterpressure bottle fillers. I've never brewed a sour. I know the risk you take when you use certain kinds of yeast and equipment. If there's any sort of blemishes in like your kettle where bacteria can just hide out in, I understand the dangers of that. Lorena, I've never considered a bottle filler. Do you think it's safe, if it's in the budget, to have dedicated equipment, specifically a bottle filler for beers that use certain kinds of yeast, or is sanitation going to win at the end of the day?
Well, that's a great question. I actually never gave it much thought myself. But here's the deal. My Blickman beer gun is metal. It's stainless.
Yep.
But the tubing is not. And we're talking about, is it about 6 feet of tubing on it? Get different tubing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can clean stainless, you can sanitize that. And then there's different kinds of sours. If you do like a kettle sour where you sour before the boil,
it won't matter.
No worries,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So I probably would have to see the counterpressure bottle filler that you have. If it's plastic, yeah, spend the money, get it. Or do a poor man's counterpressure bottle filler. You can find those on the internet. Homebrew Talk has one. If you're only going to bottle sours, 6 bottles a year or something, you can use a broken racking cane and fill. And look that up on Homebrew Talk if you want, or I can explain it. I don't know if I ever told you about my first experience with a counterpressure bottle filler, if you'd be interested.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I did the poor man's one, and I had a keg, and I was filling, I believe it was pale ale, and I'm actually a fairly intelligent person, but apparently I forgot the whole meaning of counterpressure bottle filler.
Yeah.
And so what it is, you have a racking cane that goes into it goes right into your faucet. So that, and then you use like a little bung, a small one for a bottle, so that you can maintain the pressure. And then you just fill. And I think I actually filled mine from a picnic tap. So I had it on a picnic tap locked open, and then the tube, and then the cap, and I'm filling the bottles in a little thing. Well, this is a 3-handed job, but I have 2. And so I didn't really think about that either. And so I'm filling, and all of a sudden the picnic tap falls off of the tube that's going up that has the bung on it over the bottle. Remember, counter pressure. Do you know what happens when the top falls off of something that is under pressure? Yeah. So I'm holding the bottle and I'm holding the thing in my hand, realizing that the thing flew off, and I'm looking at the ceiling in this very room, going, and it's going, it was beautiful. It was a thing of beauty. It looked like the Disney World fountain at Epcot.
That is pretty. That is pretty.
It was beautiful. Yes.
Yeah.
And it was flashing over my lights in here and everything. And
That's pretty.
it's just like, oh, and I don't know what to do because I have my hands full. I can't put it down. I'm standing here. So I decided I just put my mouth over it.
Did you really?
I didn't drown, but I don't know how good you think you are.
Yeah.
You cannot chug 12 ounces of beer under pressure that fast.
No, I'm surprised you didn't choke. Like,
oh, I did. And it just made more of it. That's just coming out every orifice too at the same time. So it's shooting out of the bottle, shooting out of my nose, bumping out of my mouth. My eyes are watering and I'm screaming. And I'm like, and after the 12 ounces were gone, and it seemed like 20,000 times more than that by the time it was on the TV and the ceiling and the kegerator and all my stuff making supplies up there. My husband then, of course, comes in the room always late, and all he sees is the aftermath. He said, "What the hell happened here?" And you know what I said, right? No, nothing.
What are you talking about, babe? What do you mean?
Yeah. So I don't care how manly you think you are. You cannot chug 12 ounces of beer coming out of a counter pressure bottle filler.
And, and what was the pressure too? Was it as low as serving, or was it?
Yeah, I turned it down. But remember, because I have this at like 39 or 40 degrees, that it's 12 psi as my volume. It's like 2.5 volume.
Right.
So yeah, and I did turn it down because when you dispense, you don't want to turn it down too much. So it's probably like 4, but the amount of pressure because of that bung on top was, I don't know, 1,000 times more.
Yes.
I mean, that's just my engineering guess.
Yeah.
And so that was yet another time I mopped the ceiling. So you only are a real home brewer if you have mopped your ceiling.
Yeah. Hey, and what was the style? Do you remember?
I know it was pale ale, so it was very enjoyable.
I was going to say, it's okay. Because my pop and I, not during transfer, but during fermentation, I forget the name of the company. It was some private label that Country Malt Group did before they were Country Malt Group. I forgot the name of it. Either way, companies change names and all that, and I have a bad memory. It's a bad combination. But they had a fermenter, a plastic one that was like 6 gallons, maybe 5.5, called the Genesis. I don't know if you remember that product.
No, I don't.
I don't remember how much work you even did with Homebrew Supply, if much at all. But a lot. Yeah, all of us carried it at one point. The Genesis, and it like had 2 hands. It was all plastic. Had 2. Either way, we did a chocolate stout, and I don't know if that imperial yeast was just too good. We obviously didn't leave enough headspace. But the first time we hit the ceiling at my pop's house was that chocolate stout, and he calls me the next day. I wouldn't say he was pissed at me. He was pissed at like what did we do wrong, or if equipment failure, because now he has chocolate stout. All like I'm confident, even though he got most of it off. If you go there now and I showed you the area that it hit, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, look right there. Oh yeah." And then unfortunately, this year, a couple months ago, we brewed a London Porter. I brought home, do you remember the old 10-gallon kegs that people used to make and sell? And now they're worth like $600, or that's what the retail value.
I need one, and I can't afford one.
Yeah. Well, I stole Todd's for a little bit. He just took it back, unfortunately. But I was like, "Oh, Dad, it's stainless steel. We're doing pressure fermentation. What a great vessel to do this with." We're transferring into this, to the brim. What does a 5-gallon get to the brim? 5 point, maybe 5 1/4, not even. And the 10-gallon one, I don't know why. I'm not a very smart person. We know this. I thought an inch and some change would be plenty of headspace for this fermentation to go good. Lorena, again, I mean, my dad, God bless the guy, because he doesn't push back enough when it's in homebrewing because I talk so confidently. Like, so he's like, is that enough headspace? Dad, what are you questioning me for, old man? Who is the host of Homebrew Happy Hour and who is an old man? Huh? So, but I should have listened to him. The next day I come in my office and all my collector guitars, my wall, everything is covered in London Porter and it's still spewing out and I'm freaking out and I'm basically crying, drag my guitars into the house to show my wife like, I do. And God bless her because she was like, I'll clean these. Just do what you have to do and clean your office. 4 hours of cleaning to get it all off of everything. 4 hours. I was so pissed. But it got done. But yeah, the point being, as I digress this again, because that's what I do on this show. The point being, Sam, be careful with stuff under pressure and that you're doing it right. That could be the moral of today's show, the moral of the story. But like Lorena said, to wrap it up, his question, separate stuff with sours, if it's in the budget, just makes sense because you want to play it safe because you don't want to waste your time. Now, with that being said, on a counter pressure bottle filler, how could, if there was infection, and I might be using that word wrong, in the tubing or whatever, and he bottles it, is that one that presents itself quick, or would it be a while for that batch that is in a keg that's uninfected to then show the characteristics of a sour?
It would take a while depending on the organism. There's some pretty strong, like Brett is going to take a long time to probably really show its scent because it's horse blanket. But some things will contaminate right. Lactobacillus, it can grow quite well even in a fridge.
Yeah.
Some can't. So, that's one of those, it really depends. But yeah, I mean, and the other thing too is if you're bottling a sour, okay, not a problem. You don't have to worry about contaminating your sour, and it's probably going to be drank pretty soon. But the reverse, would you use that same counter pressure bottle filter to bottle your Belgian quad that you're going to store at room temperature at 55 degrees for 2 years?
Right.
No, I would, and then, I want to say we always need to be sanitary. We always need to sanitize things. But if you're aging something 4 weeks versus 2 years, take extra steps, whether you're buying sours or not.
Yep.
And when you do something, you're going to age for a long time.
Yeah.
I was just trying to think though. I'm trying to picture the commercial counter pressure bottle fillers, and I have the Blickman. There's a metal spring in there. It's pretty much all metal, the trigger and everything, except for the tubing. So you could dismantle that and probably do a really, really good job of cleaning and sanitizing.
Yeah, I was trying to pull up a photo on here, and I'll link it. I know we make them to fulfill for like keg connection, keg outlet. I've never actually made it. Believe it or not, I've done a good job my entire career of playing the role of incompetent, so they don't ask me to build stuff. And I know you're like, is that a shtick, Josh? That's how good I am. That's how good I am. But I wanted to also add too, though, like you said, it's the tubing really that's we're going to get you. And I tell people all the time, because a lot of people in our community do sodas as well, and specifically root beer. And I say the same thing for root beer. Listen, that line, that liquid line you're running root beer through, I would never run any beer I care about through it. And it's not an infection thing; it's a flavor thing. You're going to taste root beer for the rest of that line's life. So like, keep a dedicated soda line and don't use it. And tubing is so cheap; it is worth buy a roll and be happy forever. Or if you know what I mean, like tubing is so cheap, it's not worth not being safe by just using dedicated stuff when you're messing around with yeast and pseudo aggressive yeast. Yeah, you don't want that Kolsch again coming out sour. It would not be fun. No, it would not. But anyways, Sam, thank you so much for submitting that. My friend Lorena, that's all I have for today's episode. I no, thank you. What do you think of me for? I meant to ask you at the top during the small talk. Do you and Bob ever make it to Great American Beer Festival? Have y'all ever been?
Which one?
In Denver, Great American Beer Festival.
No.
Never. Okay, because I just got my media credentials, but when I texted Todd and James about them going, they're not interested. So I'm going by myself. I think I was gonna ask my pop. He booked something for Big Bend, and so I kind of chickened out from asking him, Dad, if you're watching this, come to Denver with me instead, so I don't have to go on the trip alone. Because my wife just said she didn't want to go. Go figure. She didn't want to go film me drinking beer in Denver at the convention center.
I can't imagine.
I know.
But what is she thinking?
Well, that's why I thought I'd bring it up now with you, because I was like, maybe her and Bob go, but y'all don't go. I'm not going to run into you there then.
I would love to. There was one year that, this was pre-COVID, that I was being considered for judging, and it just didn't work out. And so I've never been. I would like to go someday, but right now I'm doing other things.
Yeah, no worries. I thought I'd ask, and and you know what? Here's what I'll say too. Last year, James and I ran into a bunch of listeners, and by a bunch, I mean like 7. But that's a bunch for us because that's almost half of our audience ship. So
I was going to say they all came.
That's a big number, and none of them were related to me. So that's a big number. That I know about. I don't know. My mom's side, stereotypical Mexicans. We have cousins everywhere. It's okay. I can say that. My mom's Mexican. Anyway, if you're going to be at Great American Beer Festival, let me know. Because right now I haven't booked anything. I got my credentials for it. But if you're going to be there, let me know. Maybe we'll do a meetup. Or if you want to run camera for me, let me know in the comments below at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. But anyways, Lorena, my friend, thank you so much for your time. I sincerely appreciate it, and I'm going to call on you again in the near future. So don't.
I hope so.
I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, of course, you could go to homebrewhappyhour.com. You could email joshua@homebrewhappyhour.com. But even better, you're going to call it in. You know the hotline, 325-305-6107. Get you that gift card to kegconnection.com. Thank you to our show sponsors like Muntins Malt. Premium grains for a better brew day. If you aren't already brewing with Muntins, give them a try by joining the Trub Club at a recipe receiving level. For the best hops available online, give our friends at hopsdirect.com a visit and pick up what you need for your next brew day. Also, get a pack of Imperial yeast along with delicious recipes from us when you join the Trub Club. Go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and come brew with us. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thanks for listening.